Men. When a woman cheats, she doesn't just lie. She doesn't simply hide her phone or avoid certain topics. She plans her cleanup with the precision of someone who understands exactly what you'll look for and exactly how to make sure you never find it. Today, I'll break down the 6 clever methods women use to delete every trace of cheating, from digital footprints to psychological misdirection. These aren't amateur tactics. These are sophisticated strategies used by women who understand that in the modern age, your phone is a confession waiting to happen unless you manage it constantly and carefully. Before we start, hit subscribe and drop a comment if you've ever sensed something was off, but couldn't prove it. These methods explain why you felt it in your gut, but why your eyes couldn't find anything wrong. And drop your city or country below. I want to see where this message reaches around the world. Method 1. The digital purge. She doesn't keep suspicious messages. She doesn't leave a trail of deleted conversations that show up as gaps in her message history. Instead, she routinely purges her digital life with systematic precision. Text threads with him get deleted immediately after each conversation ends. Call logs are cleared weekly, sometimes daily. Photos are removed from her camera roll the moment they're taken or sent. Entire apps get uninstalled and reinstalled to reset their data. But here's what makes this method sophisticated. She doesn't delete everything. An empty phone is suspicious. A phone with 0 message history looks like someone with something to hide. So she leaves breadcrumbs. Normal conversations with girlfriends, mundane work emails, family group chats. The digital landscape looks lived in and ordinary, just carefully edited. Psychology behind it. This is controlled narrative management, a strategy where she actively curates her digital footprint to tell a specific story. Her goal isn't just to hide the affair, it's to rewrite her digital behavior so it looks completely clean and normal to anyone who might check. She understands that you're not looking for absence of evidence, you're looking for suspicious evidence, so she provides plenty of unsuspicious evidence. Normal texts about dinner plans, boring work emails, screenshots of funny memes sent to friends. The landscape is full enough that it doesn't trigger alarm bells, but everything incriminating has been systematically removed. The purge isn't reactive, it's proactive and habitual. She's not deleting things because she's afraid you're about to check her phone. She's deleting them as standard operating procedure, immediately and automatically, so that her phone is always clean and ready for inspection at any moment. Real-life example. You notice she's always texting someone, but when you casually glance at her phone, you see a conversation with her sister from 2 days ago, a work group chat from this morning, and a text from her mom. Nothing suspicious. You think maybe you were imagining things. What you don't know is that she clears messages with him immediately after each conversation. She texts him, they exchange 50 messages, then she deletes the entire thread before putting her phone down. You scroll through her messages and think, nothing looks wrong, because she's already edited her timeline. Or she might use a more sophisticated version. She doesn't delete entire threads, which would leave obvious gaps. Instead, she deletes individual messages within threads, keeping only the innocent ones. So, if you were to scroll back through her conversation with Jake from work, you'd see perfectly professional messages about projects and meetings, because she deleted the flirty ones, the personal ones, the ones where they made plans to meet. The sophistication lies in making the digital landscape look normal and complete while actually being heavily curated. Method 2. Using disappearing message apps. Instead of traditional texting that leaves permanent records, she moves all suspicious communication to apps specifically designed for secrecy. Telegram's secret chats that self-destruct. Snapchat messages that disappear after viewing. Signal with disappearing messages enabled. WhatsApp with messages set to delete after 24 hours. But it goes deeper than just messaging apps. She uses apps disguised as something innocent. A calculator app that's actually a secret photo vault, a notes app that requires a passcode and contains hidden message threads, a weather app that's actually a private browser. These apps sit on her home screen, looking completely innocent while hiding entire secret conversations. Psychology behind it. This is anticipatory secrecy, a strategy where she's not reacting to your suspicion, she's preparing for it in advance. She knows that curiosity leads to checking phones. She knows that suspicion leads to scrolling through message history. She knows that the traditional places people hide affairs have become the first places people check. So she moves the affair somewhere you won't think to look, or where even if you look, nothing will be there. She's not worried about you checking her texts, because her texts are clean. The real communication is happening in apps that leave no trace, require special knowledge to access, or look like something completely different than what they are. This method provides her with plausible deniability, even if you catch her actively using these apps. I use Snapchat to talk to my college friends. Telegram is more secure than regular texting. That calculator app has a vault feature for sensitive work documents. Every suspicious app has an innocent explanation pre-prepared. Real-life example, you see her typing away on her phone, smiling, clearly engaged in a conversation. But when you ask who she's talking to, and she shows you her messages, there's nothing recent. Just replying to Sarah's message from earlier, she says casually. But Sarah's message was from yesterday, and the timestamp proves it. The truth? She was messaging him on Telegram's secret chat feature, where messages disappear seconds after being read. Or she was using Snapchat, where the entire conversation evaporates as soon as the app is closed. By the time you think to ask about it, there's nothing to find. Or you notice a calculator app on her phone that requires a passcode to open. When you ask about it, she explains it's a vault app for storing sensitive photos, like passport copies and stuff. What she doesn't mention is that it's also where she stores all the photos he sends her, all the screenshots of their conversations, all the evidence that would instantly prove the affair. The genius of this method is that even if you think to check these apps, you either won't find them, because they're disguised, won't be able to access them, because they're password protected separately from her main phone, or won't find anything incriminating, because the messages auto-delete. Method 3. The innocent device swap. She doesn't conduct the affair on the phone you know about. Instead, she uses a second device, an old phone she claimed was broken, but actually charges every night in her purse. A tablet she said she uses for reading, but actually uses for messaging. A work laptop that she takes home and uses in private. A burner phone hidden in her car's glove compartment. The device is explained away with innocent justifications. It's my old phone. I just use it for Spotify in the car. That's my work tablet. I'm not allowed to put personal stuff on it. That laptop is boring work stuff, trust me. Each explanation sounds reasonable, so you never think to check these devices. Psychology behind it. This is physical separation of identities, a strategy where she literally builds two digital lives on two separate devices. One device, the phone you know about, the one she uses around you, is clean. It contains her official life, conversations with you, family group chats, work emails, social media that you're aware of. The second device contains her shadow life. All communication with him, photos she doesn't want discovered, apps she doesn't want you to know about, social media accounts you don't know exist. By physically separating these identities onto different devices, she creates a safety buffer. Even if you check her main phone thoroughly, you'll find nothing, because nothing is there to find. This method also allows her to behave completely normally on the phone you can see. She can hand it to you without hesitation, leave it unlocked on the counter, even let you scroll through it. Her confidence isn't arrogance, it's certainty. She knows there's nothing incriminating on that device because all the incriminating content lives somewhere else entirely. Real-life example. You thought her old iPhone was sitting unused in a drawer somewhere, replaced by her new phone months ago. But you notice it's always in her purse, and occasionally you catch it charging overnight on her nightstand. When you ask about it, she has a ready explanation. Oh, I still use it for music in my car. The Bluetooth connects better than my new phone. Except she doesn't really use it for music. She uses it to message him through apps that aren't installed on her primary phone. She uses it to FaceTime him when you're at work. She uses it to maintain an entire second digital identity that you have no visibility into. The device looks innocent. It's just an old phone. So you never think to check it. And even if you did, it's password protected separately from her main phone. Or maybe she has a work tablet that she brings home every night. Company policy. I have to keep it with me for security reasons, she explains. It sits on the kitchen counter, looking boring and professional. What you don't know is that she's installed personal messaging apps on it, using a different Apple ID or Google account. She conducts entire conversations with him on this device that you perceive as purely professional and therefore not worth examining. The innocence of the explanation is the disguise. The device isn't suspicious because it has a legitimate reason for existing, but legitimate reasons make perfect cover stories for illegitimate purposes. Method 4. Pre-planned alibi syncing. She doesn't just delete evidence, she replaces it with carefully constructed explanations that align perfectly with her erased digital footprint. Every deleted call has a pre-made excuse. Every gap in her location history has a plausible explanation ready. Every missing hour has a story that matches her normal routine so perfectly that questioning it makes you seem paranoid. The sophistication lies in how these alibis sync with verifiable elements of her life. She doesn't just say, "I was at yoga." She mentions the instructor's name, describes what poses they did, even complains about how sore she is the next day. The lie is wrapped in enough true details that it becomes indistinguishable from reality. Psychology behind it. This is story timeline synchronization, a psychological strategy where she aligns her fabricated explanations with her actual daily habits and routines so that nothing feels out of place. The alibis aren't random lies. They're carefully selected to fit seamlessly into the larger pattern of her life. She understands how memory works. When you try to recall whether her story makes sense, your brain cross-references it against patterns and expectations. If she says she was at the grocery store on Tuesday afternoon, your brain doesn't flag that as suspicious because she often goes grocery shopping on Tuesday afternoons. The lie hides inside the pattern of truth. This method requires advanced planning and consistent maintenance. She can't contradict herself. She can't forget which version of events she told you. So she keeps her lies close to truth, making only the minimal necessary changes to cover the affair while keeping everything else authentic. Real-life example. You check her call log and notice there's nothing from yesterday afternoon, when you thought she was unusually distant. You mention it casually. You didn't talk to anyone yesterday. She doesn't panic or get defensive. Her response is immediate and casual. Oh, my boss called on WhatsApp, not the regular phone. She always uses WhatsApp for work stuff because it's free international calling. The explanation is perfect. It accounts for the missing call. It references her boss, who you know exists. It includes a specific technical reason, international calling, that sounds knowledgeable and legitimate. Your suspicion dissolves because the answer addresses your question so completely and confidently. What you don't know is that she actually spent that time on a call with him, then deleted the entire call record from WhatsApp immediately afterward, and had this exact explanation pre-prepared in case you noticed the gap. Or maybe she comes home 3 hours later than expected. Before you can ask, she volunteers. Sorry I'm late. I ran into Michelle at Target and we ended up grabbing coffee. You know how she is. Once she starts talking, there's no escape. She laughs. You laugh. The moment passes. The alibi preempted your question, and if you were to somehow verify this, maybe she actually did run into Michelle for 5 minutes in the parking lot, which makes the entire story technically true, even though she spent the other 2 hours and 55 minutes with him. By the time you think to doubt her, the timeline is sealed and the evidence is gone. The story has become the official record. Method 5. Mutual deletion pacts. This isn't a solo operation. It's a coordinated strategy where both affair partners agree to maintain operational security together. They both delete everything after each interaction. Messages, photos, call logs, even contact names get removed immediately. They establish rules. No screenshots, no saving anything, no traces that could be discovered. This creates a system where both parties are equally invested in maintaining secrecy. It's not just her protecting herself. It's both of them protecting each other, creating mutual accountability and shared risk that makes the deletion discipline more consistent and reliable. Psychology behind it. This is shared accountability in deceit, a psychological dynamic where the secrecy becomes a bonding mechanism between the affair partners. Neither can afford to be careless because carelessness puts them both at risk. The deletion pact becomes part of the relationship itself, a secret ritual that reinforces their connection while protecting it from discovery. She feels safer and more confident because the risk isn't one-sided. If he's as disciplined about deleting evidence as she is, then even if you somehow gained access to his phone, you'd find nothing. The coordination means there's no weak link, no moment where one person's sloppiness exposes both of them. This also explains her unusual confidence when you check her phone. She's not just relying on her own discipline, she's relying on their system, tested and proven through repeated use. It's not her first time lying to you, it's their established protocol. Real-life example. You finally work up the courage to look through her phone while she's in the shower. You check everything: texts, call logs, photos, social media messages, email. You find absolutely nothing suspicious, not even a hint of inappropriate communication. You feel relieved but also confused. Your gut has been screaming that something's wrong, but the evidence says everything's fine. What you don't know is that her confidence in letting you check wasn't arrogance. It was certainty based on their system. They've agreed. After every text conversation, both delete the thread. After every photo exchange, both delete the images. After every call, both clear the logs. They use code names for each other in contacts. His name appears as Sarah Jim in her phone, a fictional friend from her fitness class. Even if you saw text to Sarah Jim, you'd assume it's exactly what it appears to be. The discipline isn't just hers, it's theirs. And that's what makes you find nothing despite your strong intuition that something's wrong. You're not crazy. You're up against a coordinated system designed specifically to defeat exactly the kind of investigation you just conducted. Method 6. Emotional gaslighting. As cover. When you notice inconsistencies, deleted messages, or suspicious gaps in her story, she doesn't panic or get defensive in obvious ways. Instead, she disarms you emotionally. She'll cry, expressing hurt that you don't trust her. She'll joke, making your concerns seem ridiculous and paranoid. She'll play the victim, suggesting that your suspicion is damaging her and the relationship. The goal is to shift focus from the evidence you've found to the emotions she's displaying. Suddenly, the conversation isn't about why she deleted messages. It's about why you're hurting her by not trusting her. You end up comforting her instead of getting answers, apologizing instead of investigating. Psychology behind it. This is psychological cleanup, the final layer of evidence erasure. She understands that erasing digital proof is only half the job. The other half is erasing your suspicion, your willingness to investigate, your confidence in your own perceptions. By making you feel guilty for asking questions, she keeps your curiosity locked away. If every attempt to seek truth results in you being made to feel like a terrible partner, you'll eventually stop seeking truth. The emotional cost becomes too high. You'd rather live with uncertainty than face another tearful confrontation where you end up being the villain. This method is particularly effective because it weaponizes your empathy and your desire to be a good partner. You don't want to be controlling. You don't want to be the kind of person who interrogates their partner. So when she frames your legitimate questions as attacks on her character, you back down. Real-life example. You notice she's deleted an entire day's worth of text messages. When you ask about it, calmly without accusation, she doesn't answer the question. Instead, she looks offended and hurt. I didn't know I needed to save everything for your approval. Is this what we are now? You monitoring my phone like I'm a child. I can't believe you don't trust me. Now you're defending your tone instead of questioning her deletion. No, I wasn't trying to monitor you. I just noticed and was curious. She sighs dramatically. Curious? That's a nice word for suspicious. This is exhausting. I feel like I'm under surveillance in my own relationship. By the end of the conversation, you're apologizing for bringing it up. The deleted messages are never explained. She successfully redirected the entire discussion from her suspicious behavior to your supposedly controlling behavior. You walk away feeling guilty, and she walks away with her secret intact. The emotional manipulation serves as the final barrier between you and the truth. Even if you find evidence, even if you notice inconsistencies, the psychological cost of pursuing answers becomes so high that you eventually stop pursuing them. These 6 methods aren't used in isolation. They work together as a comprehensive system of evidence management and psychological manipulation. The digital purge removes the obvious traces. The disappearing apps eliminate the platform where traces could exist. The second device creates a completely separate identity. The alibi syncing explains away any gaps. The mutual deletion pact ensures consistency. And the emotional gaslighting prevents you from pursuing any suspicions that survive the first 5 layers. This is why your gut tells you something's wrong, but you can't find proof. It's not that you're imagining things, it's that you're up against someone who's actively and systematically erasing everything you'd need to confirm what you already sense is true. And if you know a man who keeps saying, "Something feels off but I can't prove it," share this with him. Sometimes, understanding the methods is the first step to trusting your instincts again. Remember, if someone's digital life is too perfect, too clean, too carefully managed, that perfection itself is the evidence you're looking for.